Hey, welcome back to the how-to video series brought to you by Tim Unscripted. So this week I had a moment of convergence. And by that, I mean, this how-to video is actually, I would say, probably the closest I have ever gotten to pure vibe coding. So, if you've been watching the YouTube series, I've been working very diligently about understanding how best to employ the agentic personas in BMAD as part of my own professional growth and development. And so this is nothing new for you. What you're seeing is actually a private repo. I am not going to make this public because I have conversations that I need to have, which will probably be completed by the time that the video is done. And it came about from a series of interesting and timely events. And I would dare say, and I'm going to take a step back, that's right, legendary convergence. So we are hosting at my company in late April, the creator of a framework that helps you and I orient around the space in which we're operating. And it's been out for a number of years, and the name is a little bit weird because it's Welsh for the places of my many the place of my many belonging, the places that I belong. Anyway, it's called Cynefin. So Cynefin, and you may end up seeing that. Yes, here we go. Cynefin facilitator. So what this is about was me and a problem that I've had for a while, which is trying to explain what Cynefin actually does for product development teams, and doing it in such a way that Cynefin itself is not difficult to understand once you grasp what it's there for. And so it's a great visual orientation tool, and it opens up a lot of conversations. Huge props to Dave Snowden on this. It is one of my go-tos. Seriously, it is one of my go-tos. So I'm going to walk you through, now that we're almost 3 minutes into the video, I'm going to walk you through how this all happened. So now you know what the problem is. Okay, I'm a facilitator. I want to better facilitate using Cynefin, and I may not have the best visual examples of being able to do this. So I decided to build a tool using BMAD that helps me help teams orient on the domains that Cynefin represents. And this is it. And here's the funny thing, folks. I was able to get this done in less than a day, stand it up locally, build out a Supabase schema, deploy all the web parts, and minimal amount of rework. Now, mind you, this is a very straightforward web app. There are not a lot of moving parts. It's built on React, or using React as a framework. But I was surprised and delighted, so much so that I've gotten into the habit now of doing something that I find extremely valuable. I am keeping a collaboration record in my repositories of the exchanges that go on between myself and the personas as I iterate, so that there's a historical record of why things were done the way they were done, and a bit of context that, oh, by the way, I can have the LLM refer back to once we get to this place where the LLM, because it's running out of available tokens, is doing context compression. So it's a thing. We do it as human beings. We can only take in so much information before we have to do a context compression. LLMs do this mathematically. We do this biologically. Biology can be translated in mathematics. And anyway, I'm not going to get into the mechanics of all this. But I was like, this is probably one of my better ideas outside of what I just launched today. on March 14th, 2026. It's out there, but that's not the point of this video. If you're interested, go to thegreatinvert.com, greatinvert.com, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So back to the purpose of this recording and the how-to video. I thought, this file, this collaborate file or collaboration file is a wonderful tool that these personas can refer back to throughout the course of ongoing development. And so I append exchanges, and I'm going to build a skill, by the way. This is going to be one of my things to make sure that none of the relevant context is lost. And I'm just walking you through this right now. I don't expect you to read it, but it is something that has become extremely helpful for me when it comes to doing work with agents, because these things are, these tools are, we've got to steer them as human beings. I'm an orchestrator. I do not consider myself a professional software developer. The fact that I am investing a lot of time in understanding how to properly use these things, specifically the BMAD method, shows you that I genuinely care about doing the work the right way and getting as close to done as I can with the least amount of waste and the shortest amount of time. Least amount of waste, shortest amount of time. Waste in Japanese is muda. I am a huge believer in doing lean work, taking out the waste where it doesn't make sense. Thematically, if you look at any of the stuff that I post on social media, go to my blog, wtimdickey.com, you know that I am a big proponent of lean thinking. I've got books on this subject. I have read some. I don't want to get into the details. Suffice it to say, I will be more than happy to have a conversation with you in real life, or at least online on a Zoom call, potentially, if we want to talk about waste, because Toyota North America is literally just to the south of me. So I know a few things. I have some friends who are either employees at Toyota or former employees. Anyway, sorry about the digression there. So getting back to this, one of the neat things that is emerging from these exchanges is, that I'm capturing these conversations for historical context, but I'm also able to get the decision points. Some of the things where, due to the chat thread, it'll just run along, and I won't be able to take action on a suggestion or make a decision on a question. So this has become very helpful for me. And so this is one of those things where it's like, cool, I have figured out another way of using agents to get work done. So this is one of those key things that you might want to consider adopting in your own workflow. So let's get into the actual repo of the application that got built. So, this is one of those things where I went, there's a lot to unpack here. This is a fairly straightforward project. But when you start getting into the plumbing, that's where it really matters. And by the way, I was trying to troubleshoot some of the cosmetic changes that I was looking at, just adjustments. So I've got some tool tips in the actual app that it's like, the way that they instantiated was, it just wasn't, the detail wasn't there. That's the bottom line. So I expanded the blocks. In addition, I moved some wording that was hidden, reoriented it. Suffices to say, when I got done, I went, wow, this was a minimal amount of rework. And I want to say, all totaled, it's probably maybe 6 dynamic pages. This is an ephemeral application, by the way. So by ephemeral, I mean, it's intended to be spun up and spun down. The data itself is really only designed to be captured for about 72 hours, and then it gets deleted in Supabase. This is a very lightweight facilitation tool. And, you know, it solves a problem for me, and I'm sure it has the potential of solving problems for other facilitators. But this is just well done the first time out without a ton of rework and a ton of back and forth. And all thanks to the way that BMAD is set up. And by the way, it was originally just supposed to be a prototype. It was not supposed to be a fully functioning application that could be shipped in one afternoon. That was never the thing. It wasn't even supposed to be an MVP. It was just supposed to be a prototype. Now, there are other cosmetic improvements that definitely could be made. I'm not going to get into that. That's the reason why I don't have the app up and running right now. But my mind was blown from the standpoint that I could build and deploy a web app using I would say a structured way of working that is more conformant to the way that professional software development teams operate than had I gone into choose your platform and vibe coded my way through a chat to get this thing built. Oh, and by the way, this thing scales. So, not to throw shade at any of these platforms, but I'm just saying, this code, I could take and get it into a Docker container and be off to the races. Off to the races. Can you tell I'm really passionate, really excited? Because this was my first real foray into the art of what's possible using drop-in personas like BMAD and getting something that's completely useful on the backside of that. Completely. So, you know, I'm just looking. I'm delighted. I'm delighted, and this is the reason why I'm excited to share this with you, because this is the art of the possible. We are taking the art and engineering of software development, and we are truly merging. We're bringing together these two things that oftentimes had polarity. They were opposed in certain cases to each other, where engineering was constrained and you couldn't get the art of the possible in there, or boy, the art of the possible just was never going to be able to be engineered into a software product. Those days are gone, folks. They are gone, completely exploded. And this is a greenfield, so I am not foolish enough to tell you that you can do this in a brownfield product. A lot of work there, a lot of technical debt, a lot of decisions that get made to get something out the door. You know that I am working through these videos to demonstrate how in a personal project, I am looking for ways to refactor and make this thing even better, addressing technical debt, all the things that professional software development teams deal with when they're building product. You know, so I record this stuff to inspire you, but also to give you a caveat emptor, buyer beware, set your expectation correctly kind of view. So again, this is just, it's amazing to me. It's really neat. It's it's an aha moment. It's me having convergence and an epiphany and seeing the power of these tools. In fact, I am a captain for a hackathon team for this year's code launch series. I'm one of 6 team captains in the United States. And, you know I am going to be leveraging the heck out of BMAD and its capabilities as we try to deliver working software to a startup in roughly 24 hours, roughly 2 days of working and being focused. This is a game changer. It's going to enable us as a team to work better. You can see it enables people who have an idea to get it out there, get it tested, get feedback, truly be able to explore whether it works. Now, let me take a step back. Okay. I want you to understand when we're talking about building commercial software products, whether it be software as a service or locally installed application or anything in between. If you are not solving a problem with software, please consider not building it. Please try to avoid the temptation of building for the sake of building. And I'm saying this because all of this does have a cost. We don't necessarily understand the all-in cost of using these tools, but I will say this. I am so hyper aware at this point of what this cost might be because I used to manage commercial data centers for Verizon Business. And I remember how much energy I was being charged for on a monthly basis. And that included my cooling as well as my, just all the things, ping, power, and pipe. So vibe coding or, doing a more structured way of product development like this as a solopreneur, as a member of a small team, think through these economic choices and trade-offs. Please, for all of us, don't just go, hey, we can build this and then not have anywhere to deploy it to recover the investment. And I'm saying recover the investment. I am really evolving as a product professional. I'm looking at product market fit, go-to-market strategy, things that there are more deeper, more knowledgeable people than I am that talk about this regularly, both in podcasts, at conferences, in their own YouTube channels. And it is really starting to get into me where it's like, I want to build things that solve a particular problem. And if they go commercial, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing to solve that problem or a very close variation for the people who are going to use it. It does not need to serve a vanity purpose, in my opinion. This is where I'm going to continue to plant a lot of flags with this YouTube video series, in addition to a lot of things that I'm putting out into the public space. We cannot afford to just build for the sake of building. We got to build for the sake of solving. Stop building for the sake of building. Start building for the sake of solving. And I want to wrap up this video because this was just such a watershed moment for me with 3 points that I routinely post on social media. Number 1, we are people solving problems for people. Number 2, we are people doing business with people. And number 3, we are people using generative AI to develop products for people. People and people. AI just happens to be a set of tools, scaffolds, however you want to frame it. It is an accelerator to get from idea to actual working product. So, doing a quick summary because I'm already at 20 minutes. Leading off in this video, I wanted to show you this repo that I built specifically around this thing, the Cynefin framework that I have routinely referred to while I was facilitating team conversations. Walked you through the repo from, hey, by the way, this is where I started with the BMAD team and the logging that I've created for collaboration as an output file. brought you into the actual code base, and then, of course, pontificated about my personal views regarding using AI and solving problems in product development. So you have just finished another how-to video brought to you by Tim Unscripted. Have a great day.